All right, so this keeps going. This was a film that I got with a batch of educational films from, I believe it was Tarboro Schools. And so there was some footage of Elizabeth City and someone who was obviously well-to-do in that town. And so this is the second reel of footage that had, it was written on the can, home movie footage, cats. And so we saw some cats kind of show up. I think we saw a little bit of Raleigh, visiting Raleigh as well. But yeah, a variety of different types of footage in there. There was some Kodachrome that was beautiful. There was some Ansco Chrome, which was not so great. Eastman color, all over the map. So really fascinating stuff there. We're going to go ahead and get started with a film that we have on the film scanner behind us. This is part of a series called Jackson Junior High, which has a really, I don't know, I thought it was a toe-tapping song, but I think it got voted down in previous years. But here we go. Enjoy. This is Jackson Junior High, Barbara Murray. Enjoy.
Something's going on. Listen and I'll tell you. Kids at Jackson Junior High are learning all about alcohol. Something's going on. Something's going on.
Butts. Here, let me help you.
Thank you very much.
You better
I'm Barbara Murray, your substitute teacher for the week. Miss Gunther's sick. This is your alcohol project week, isn't it? I saw some of the posters in the hallway, and Miss Gunther called me on the telephone and told me a little bit about it. But I wasn't here when you started, so maybe you could bring me up to date.
Yes. Well, Mark and I were having an argument about alcohol. He says drinking's bad for you, but if it's so bad, how come it's not illegal?
Oh, there's no way they can illegalize it. Oh, look, they tried prohibition once before, and it didn't work. So there's just no way they can illegalize it.
Oh, well, just one at a time so we can hear what you have to say. Well, does anyone have anything to say? Yes. Alcohol is a drug. Who needs drugs?
Yeah, but isn't it right that all the important people in the world practically drink? Even the president drinks, just to be sociable. So what is really wrong with it?
Well, my parents drink, but they're not drunks or anything. I mean, they can control it.
Yeah, but
some people don't know when to stop. They don't know when to control it.
That's right.
She's right. It's just a few people that give alcohol a bad name, and they're the ones we have to worry about.
What about you? Do you drink? Yeah. You drink? How about it?
Come on, Barb, try this.
No, I don't want to.
Come on, just a sip. You like it?
All right.
Hey, play something a little louder. Something with a little more pep.
I don't think I want to. Well, whether or not I drink isn't really relevant to the project.
Oh, come on, that's not fair.
I'd really like to tell you, but there's so much work to cover, we really better get going here. Maybe if we would move on to the next step in the project.
Oh, you mean the history of alcohol?
You might think that to take a drink is the latest thing to do. Something invented recently for folks like me and you. Well, it's not, you know, it's older even than man. Alcohol's been on this earth ever since the world began.
In the beginning, along with the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees, there were naturally sweet grapes, a fruit. When this fruit we know as grapes combined with yeast and then combined with the heat of the sun, the natural grape sugar underwent a chemical transformation. Right.
Wow, that's terrific. What do you call this stuff?
Man called it wow, wine.
How do you make it? Okay, you want to be like that. I'll find out for myself. I'd better write that down. I wonder if fish would work as well as a bunch of grapes. Fish fermentation. Blech.
So man tried wheat and barley.
Wheat. Barley. Who said that? Never mind. I think I'll try it. Now that's beer. Yeah, beer. What a great name. Glad I thought of it. I'd better write that down. I think I've had enough.
Man discovered beverage alcohol and found that drinking was a pleasant social experience.
If this still only works, I'll have contributed something terrific to the world. No, just a few grains of barley. A little more heat. Ah! This still is fantastic. This still is terrific. Distillation. That's it. I'll call it whiskey. No, schnapps. Maybe I'll just call it a day.
Ludwig, this is the last straw.
Some people just don't drink, because that's how they think. But that's okay. L'chaim. The Hebrews like their wine, and the Italians too. The Germans drink their beer, like the Africans do. In China and Japan, rice wine was always grand. Russians have been drinking vodkas ever since they were tiny totkas. Scotch can drink their scotch. The English drink their gin. You'd be drinking ale if you were a Dane or Finn. It all depends on from where you came, the type of drink you drink. But alcohol can be enjoyed by all depending on how you think. It's up to you to pick and choose. It's up to you to pick and choose depending on who you are.
You know, I've really done it now. My first teaching assignment has got to be alcohol. I feel so hypocritical teaching those kids about drinking when I don't drink myself.
Come on, Barbara, there must be something that you like to drink.
Well, I like milk and soda, if you want to know the truth.
I bet I could find something that you'd really like.
Well,
I don't like the taste of it, I don't like to drink, and that's all.
Cut it out, will you? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Barb, there's so many varieties of taste. Coffee, banana liqueurs, creme de menthe. If you wanted to drink, you could find something you'd really like. If you don't like to drink, then there has to be another reason. Find out what that reason is, and you'll know a lot more about yourself and why you feel like you do about drinking.
Oh, that's funny.
What is?
Oh, that's just what we're talking about in the class right now. Why people feel the way they do about drinking.
I say one stereotype is, say, the bum that drinks and gets drunk and lays on the street corner.
A little scrawny guy with glasses who has a big fat wife who always pecking on him and all, drinks to forget.
Well, the big businessmen that go out and drink down their lunch. Well, let's take a look at some of these kinds of people.
You mean like real tough guy drinkers?
Move it, man. Get over there. Get some room.
Yes, first there's the two-fisted drinker.
Here it comes.
On television, they always make drinking look so glamorous. That's right, the sophisticated drinker.
Cut.
Was that all right? My high school friends believe that drinking, a lot of drinking, made you more romantic. The fact is that if you drink a lot, you often make a poor lover, and that a lot of liquor actually makes you less romantic.
Well, yeah, but what about my folks? They drink, and it's not because of any of those reasons.
What about you? Where do you fit in? Do you drink or don't you?
Oh, now wait a minute. Now wait a second. Look, I've got an idea. Why don't we find out where we all fit in?
What do you mean?
I mean, as part of your alcohol project.
Why people do or don't drink? Everyday people.
Hey, I'm gonna ask a cop. That would be a neat idea.
That's like a principle.
Some big business big shot would be great.
Yeah, they drink all the time. That's the cinch. Hey, how about an Italian restaurant down in D.C.? They drink a lot of wine there all the time. All right, do you think being Italian has anything to do with your drinking habits?
Oh, yes. It's a long tradition of drinking wine. I don't know, probably it goes back to the Roman times.
Well, the Jewish people use wine to introduce a joyous occasion. Wine is a joyous beverage.
Well, why do you drink?
Well, I enjoy drinking. It helps me relax.
And the drinking that I now do is basically wine and beer, and usually it has to do with a meal.
Actually, alcohol does not fit into the Baptist faith in terms of its ceremonials or its doctrines. Baptists believe in total abstinence. In order not to even introduce the taste of alcohol in the communion element, we use grape juice.
Normally it's beer, maybe a couple of beers with the guys after work and wine with dinner. That's about all.
Well, Becky, I'm a Mormon, and I've been asked that question a lot of times. And there are many, many reasons why I don't use alcohol. Alcohol destroying man's capability to react, to govern his own mind, his body, is a very great sin in my estimation.
Why do I drink? I drink because I like it.
Really difficult.
It is very
Jane, why don't you give Barbara first?
No, thank you.
Come on, Barb.
No.
Barbara, not again.
No, not again is right.
You know, you're not going to get drunk on just one beer. I don't see why you won't try one.
Over the teeth and through the gums. What? Through the teeth and over the gums. And look out, Tommy, here it comes. Come on, Barb.
No, now. You know, Mom and Dad, this sounds silly, but was there anything in my background and the way I was brought up that makes me feel the way I do about alcohol?
Well, it never meant that much to me, so we never served any in the house.
Well, why?
Well, I used to have a drink or two when we went out, or on a special occasion. But when I saw that it made your mom uncomfortable, well, it just didn't mean that much to me, and we never had alcohol in the house.
So we never had any alcohol in the house, and I was never really exposed to it.
And you never developed a taste for it. Of course.
Well, I guess that's the way it was. But we never did tell you that you could or couldn't if you wanted. It just never came up, and it was not that important.
Gee, Barbara, we're sorry, honey, if we've done something wrong.
Oh,
but
Mother,
still...
it's not a question of right or wrong. I just want to know when I began to feel the way I did about drinking, so I'll understand myself better.
Well then, cold drink, soft drink, anyone?
So now you know I really don't like to drink, and the pressure's on me. You know, I really don't have anything against drinking.
Well, why don't you just tell your friends you don't like to drink? But how's she gonna do that? I mean, all her friends would think she's just a square and, you know, wouldn't want her to come to all the parties and things.
Well, who needs friends like that? She should do what she wants.
Yeah.
But what if she really likes those friends and likes being around them? It'd be silly for her just to stop being around those people just because they drink a little.
But she doesn't like to drink, and they're pressuring her. Oh, come on, it's just a minute.
Well, what are you going to do, Miss Murray?
Tapper. I gotta say, the intro we've like years ago, I think, well, a couple of years ago, we did a thing to see if people thought that was a good toe tapper, and most people didn't. But that middle thing with the dinosaurs singing about the history of alcohol, I think we can edit that down into something that's pretty great. And you know, this series is actually pretty level-headed when it comes to talking about alcohol in society. And I'm now that I found this one new thing, I think this makes 4 films that we have from the Jackson Junior High series, and now I'm eager to find more in the series and show them to you, because maybe there'll be more songs. In the meantime, this is a film about capitalism. I think it's a Cornet. Or maybe it's Encyclopedia Britannica? I don't know. The title is clipped off, so the library that had the film shot their own title. So enjoy Capitalism.
Two, there has to be a legal basis for any economic system to operate.
Well, it's easy to see that with a dictator or planning board tells people what jobs they may hold and what goods they may produce.
And it's not a system of government ownership. Let me tell you about something. It shows that the basis of the capitalistic system is private property. It happened when Eleanor and I went down to get the things for the class weenie roast. We went to Mr. Brown's store. Well, that's what I mean. Mr. Brown really owns property. All those store fixtures and the groceries in there, and, well, the whole store. It's his property, and he can do almost anything with it that he likes. We needed weenies. Mr. Brown had weenies. It's as simple as that. Prices. Anyway, Eleanor did. But after all, he has a right to earn something for the goods and services he supplies, and he does supply services as well as goods. When we agreed to buy everything from him, weenies, buns, marshmallows, and charcoal, he agreed to give us extra service, deliver everything in his truck. And since we didn't have enough cars, he agreed to make a trip and take a lot of the kids out to the picnic. And he could help us that way because the truck is his private property, and he can do just about anything with it that he wants. That's how a capitalistic system operates. The people own property and use it to provide the goods and services that all of us need.
That's what I mean about government. Mr. Brown's very right to own property is guaranteed by our Constitution. Yes, but, well, Bill's missed the whole point to what happened at Mr. Brown's store. And Mr. Brown has property, all right, but that's not what he's interested in. And he does help supply us with things we want. But that's not why he's in business. He's in business to make money. There's the basis of the capitalistic system, the profit motive. He may give service when he has to make a profit. Well, when I complained that his prices were too high, he could see those profits going right out the window if we didn't buy from him. So naturally he offered to help us out with his truck, so he could make a sale and a profit. And just think of all the others who made a profit on those weenies. Cattle growers, meat packers, shippers, distributors, they're all in business to make profit.
Of course they make a profit, and it's a good thing. That's the incentive that makes capitalism work, to give us more of the things that we need. That's the incentive that other economic systems lack.
I think you've both missed the point.
It's competition. That's why Mr. Brown offered his truck. He wanted to make sure you'd buy from him and not from a competitor.
And why was he free to make that offer? Freedom of contract. You and Mr. Brown entered into a contract, an agreement. You agreed to buy what you needed from him. He agreed to let you use the truck. In the same way, he got the weenies by entering into a contract with the wholesaler. And he got the truck by entering into a contract with someone else. Under a capitalistic system, you're free to make almost any kind of a contract with anyone.
Freedom of contract, competition, profit motive, private property. And what do they all add up to? Free enterprise. Well, that's what capitalism is. A system of free enterprise. Well, now tell us what free enterprise means. All right. It means that you can go into business wherever and however you please. Anybody can go into any business. Any legal business, that is. But I still say you can't leave government out of the discussion. Government must at least guarantee the right of private property and freedom of contract in order that...
Quiet, please, everybody. We're on the air in a few seconds. Good afternoon. This is Ray Bennett, acting as moderator for the Western High School Radio Forum. Our topic today, what is capitalism? We hear capitalism, capitalistic system, on every hand, on the radio, in newspapers, magazines, books, in lectures and daily conversation. But just what is capitalism? To start our forum, we will present a few candid interviews, recorded remarks of representative citizens of our town who were asked for their opinions about our capitalistic system.
Capitalism? Well, why should there be any question about it? Hasn't it given us the highest standard of living in the world?
We don't have free enterprise, just bureaucratic red tape. The government ought to keep its hands off business.
Freedom of contract? Don't know about that. We've got the union and seniority. I make a living. I should worry.
Where's all this competition we've heard so much about? You call these prices low?
Well, perhaps the regular salary would be more secure, but I'm glad I can work for myself. With capitalism, you take your choice.
It seems that capitalism means different things to different people. Let's hear now from our town treasurer, Mr. John Howard.
We say we live in a capitalistic society. What does that mean? Well, we can point to certain fundamental ideas which we say are part of a capitalistic system. For example, private property. Individuals or corporations may own land, natural resources, buildings of all kinds, machinery and equipment for the production of goods, facilities for the amps. In a capitalistic system, these are usually private property. Another idea fundamental to capitalism is the profit motive. For the sake of profit, we cultivate the land. We build great factories to produce goods. We sell for profit. The goods thus produced, we transport over large distances, still for the sake of profit. Those who have savings often invest or lend them, hoping for a share of profit. And in so doing, help to build the industrial might of the nation. Some other ideas are basic to capitalism. Competition, freedom of contract, free enterprise. What do they mean? Could these rights exist without laws that define and protect them? Do just these few things make up a capitalistic system? Or should something more be said? Perhaps your forum will have some of the answers.
There is more to be said, Mr. Howard. A great deal more. That's why we're holding this forum. Now it's up to you. Listen, consider, discuss. This is your forum. What is capitalism?
Kathmandu, capital of Nepal. Few Westerners have ever seen this ancient city where Buddhist and Hindu gods. But now, Nepal is to be the launching site for an historic first try at conquering the giant from the south. The grueling journey continues for 3 weeks, and each day the setting up of a temporary camp is a signal for the natives to gather. They're curious about these strangers who are willing to risk their lives simply to climb a mountain. As for the strangers, their big concern at the moment is the local cooking. Payday. It's time to settle accounts with the 300 and some odd porters from Kathmandu and to send them home. From this point on, the climbers will proceed alone, accompanied only by 22 Sherpas, the famed Nepalese mountaineers, and also by the prayers of those remaining behind. Under the brow of Everest, 2.5 miles below the summit, a base camp is established. From here up, daily progress will be measured in feet, and a series of additional camps will have to be set up if the climbers are to get close enough for a final assault. The approach to Everest lies through a steep, frozen cascade known as the Ice Fall, where millions of tons of ice are constantly on the move, shifting and splitting apart without warning. A huge crevasse blocks the way, an obstacle that forced a previous expedition to turn back. Swinging across won't work. The solution is to go down and then climb up the opposite side. The precarious bridgehead is strengthened, and men and equipment come across. The vital chain of supply camps can move forward. Believe it or not, things have been relatively easy so far. But now the way is open for the real struggle to begin. The next step is to climb the face of Lhotse, the giant neighbor of Everest. The Lhotse face soars above Camp 5, ending in a ridge that leads directly to the summit of Everest, a ridge named the South Col. Can it be reached? The Lhotse face is 4,000 feet high, steep and treacherous. And in this rarefied atmosphere, even the smallest movement is beginning to call for tremendous effort. While the critical Lhotse attempt is underway, there is little for the others to do but wait, watch, and make plans for the final assault up the knife-like ridge to the summit, 5.5 miles high. The South Col has been reached. There's no time to lose. At any moment, the monsoon will come, bringing 100-mile winds and paralyzing cold, and making an approach almost impossible. The precious oxygen bottles are checked. The failure of this life-giving equipment would spell disaster for any attempt on the summit. The first stages of the monsoon are beginning. It is now or never for the final assault. Slowly, the climbers advance toward the top of the world. Can mere men overcome the relentless forces of nature? Can they endure the bitter cold that sears and penetrates, even through many layers of clothing? Can they contend with altitude that robs a man of energy and willpower and makes him move in a slow motion dream? Can they bear the blinding wind that pushes a man back no matter how desperately he wants to go forward? The monsoon is in full force, and the crushing wind sweeping down the south ridge creates a barrier that cannot be passed. At this point, even superhuman will is not enough. More than 28,000 feet high, the highest men have ever reached until this moment, but still not high enough. The summit is 900 feet away. Time and oxygen have run out, and so has human strength. Even though the goal is in sight, to go farther is to die. They must turn back. The gallant Swiss attempt of 1952 has failed, but the key to Everest has been found. And one day, Tenzing the Sherpa and Edmund Hillary, the New Zealander, will stand victorious on the wind-swept roof of the world.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if I had my mic on this whole time. Sorry about that. I apologize. Anyways, yeah, that was a Castle film, but I think that was licensed from something else. They used that footage. They didn't send people to camera people to Mount Everest. They licensed it. So let's see, what do we got? Yeah, it's Friday the 13th. I just kind of realized, dawned on me. This film is, again, it's the titles clip, but this is Science and Superstition. We just scanned the second edition of this, but there was no soundtrack to it, so we're going to watch the first edition. Enjoy.
Why, that's a rabbit's foot. Phooey, says the catcher. But Alan seems to believe the rabbit's foot will bring him good luck, while George, the catcher, thinks it's just a superstition. Well, we'll soon see. Strike 3, you're out. It looks like the rabbit's foot didn't help much, time anyway. But even the end of the playground period didn't end the argument between George and Alan. They took the rabbit's foot up again with Miss Carr, their teacher. George says, I told him it was no good. A rabbit's foot is just a silly old superstition. But Alan wouldn't give up. It is not, it's a fact, says Alan. This sort of thing could have gone on forever if Miss Carr hadn't decided to discuss this matter of superstitions and facts with the whole class. What is a superstition, anyway? And what is a fact? Are all superstitions true, or are just some of them true? Are any superstitions really true? And what about facts? Miss Carr decided to start with the rabbit's foot idea.
Now, George tells me he thinks this is a superstition. Now, who thinks he can tell me a fact, or something he believes is a fact? Yes, Alan?
Well, last week when we talked about glass, you said it was a non-conductor of the electricity. I think that's a fact, isn't it?
Oh, we did talk about that, and we can add that to our list. Now, who else can give me another statement? Something he calls a superstition. Yes, Marion?
Well, there's a superstition about the groundhog. If he sees his shadow when he comes out in the spring, there'll be 6 weeks more of cold weather.
Yes, that is a fairly common saying. Now we have 2 more statements to write.
Miss Carr had no trouble getting a lot of statements to add to her list. And by the next morning, she had arranged the statements in a chart on the blackboard. The class had mentioned 8 items in all, and from these they had chosen 6 statements for class discussion. First, there was the original rabbit's foot idea. A rabbit's foot brings good luck. Next was an example of a fact. Glass is a non-conductor of electricity. Then, if the groundhog sees his shadow on the 2nd of February, there will be 6 more weeks of cold weather. Miss Carr asked George to hand out individual record sheets so everyone could study all the statements very thoughtfully. Somebody had suggested the statement, a pint of milk weighs more than a pint of cream. Then there was the idea that hot water will freeze quicker than cold water. And last on the list was, water expands when it freezes. Miss Carr asked everyone to think about each statement and to check off each one on the list. This would give each pupil a record showing, I believe that statement, I do not believe this one, I'm doubtful about this, and so on. Very quickly, everyone completed the lists of the 6 statements the class had chosen. And now Miss Carr could add up what the whole class thought about each statement, from the rabbit's foot idea, clear on down the line to the end. These are the opinions of the whole class.
Now that we've recorded our opinions, I think we should investigate to find out whether or not our opinions are based on good reasons. First, how about a rabbit's foot? Will carrying one bring good luck? It seems to me there's one way to find out. Alan?
Yes, Miss Carr.
Will you hand out these rabbit's feet to 10 students who would volunteer to carry them for a week? Now, this is the first step in our experiment.
Yes, this will be an actual scientific experiment to find out if carrying a rabbit's foot will bring good luck to the 10 volunteers. Like many experiments, this one will extend over a period of time. Miss Carr wrote the experiment on the board. Then George listed the students who will not carry rabbit's feet, and Alan listed those who will carry them for a whole week. At the end of the week, each student will report what happened. Meanwhile, Marion wrote on the board the names of her group. Their job will be to look up weather reports, to find out if the groundhog seeing his shadow really governs the weather. They'll report next week, too. But some of the statements do not take so much time to investigate. We can test this statement right away. Glass is a non-conductor of electricity. First, Alan and Larry test their batteries and circuit. It's all right, the bulb lights up. And if a metal rod is put in the circuit, it lights again. So we know that metal is a conductor of electricity. But what about glass? Nothing happens. No light.
Now, do you believe that glass is a non-conductor of electricity?
There's no doubt about it now, because our experiment proved that statement to be a fact. While Alan put away the electricity experiment things, Miss Carr recorded the result. Now the students were basing these new opinions on evidence, experiments, and reasoning. It wasn't just guesswork anymore. A week later, Marion and her group were ready with their report on the groundhog statement. And while Marion was copying her records, Miss Carr called for individual reports on the rabbit's foot experiment. Alan was first.
I was one of the 10 who carried a rabbit's foot. I found a quarter last Saturday. I call that good luck. I didn't carry one. On Wednesday I won the school poster contest, and on Thursday I got a pretty low mark in history. I guess that's good luck and bad luck.
I did carry a rabbit's foot. The only unusual thing that happened was that this could be called good luck or bad.
One by one, all the pupils reported on what had happened to them during the week. And they finally agreed that carrying a rabbit's foot doesn't really affect the daily events of their lives. So their experiment proved the first statement to be just a superstition.
Marion, would you like to give the report for your group now?
Well, we studied the United States Weather Report for the last 10 years for our state. Then we organized our material.
And this is a good job of research. For every Groundhog Day, or February 2nd, the weather was listed. If it was fair, the groundhog would have seen his shadow. And if it was cloudy, he couldn't have seen his shadow. But shadow or not, the temperature never varied more than 2 degrees from normal. The groundhog had nothing to do with spring weather.
When we seek to answer our questions by observation and research and experimentation, as we have been doing, we are using the scientific method. The scientific method is our most valuable weapon in the search for truth.
Modern man uses the scientific method in research to help him base his opinions on facts. For everything he can observe, he tries to discover the natural cause. In the search for truth, scientists have invented apparatus to observe things that mankind never saw before. In learning the truth about a rabbit's foot as a good luck charm, we use the scientific method. And right on down the list, the use of the scientific method gave us the truth. Now, why not use what we have learned to discover the truth about the last 3 statements? Does a pint of milk weigh more than a pint of cream? Try it at home for yourself. Here's another. Will hot water freeze quicker than cold water? Try it yourself. Don't be satisfied with just anybody's guess. Does water really expand when it freezes? Try this experiment yourself. It's simple. Do you believe this is the right answer? Well, it was Alan with his rabbit's foot who started us off on the search for... And out of it, he learned the scientific method. And so did we. How many believe this is the best way to try to understand the world we live in?
I love it. Again, this is a film that I want to find a full copy to kind of figure out how this kind of happened and how this argument probably stopped the lesson plans for a week. It's like, all right, hold on. We're not going to learn about evolution. We're going to learn about this. Yeah, so... And also, I'm going to try to find the soundtrack to the second edition of this, which was made, I believe, in the 70s, and is equally as interesting. Let's see, what we got? I have some long films, which are not really great, but I don't know. Yeah, the timing of things. I was going to show another film on the scanner, but it turned out that it needed a lot of prep work before I could do that, so we're going to pass on that. Do I have anything that would be of interest that I have not already shown? The problem is when I have too many films, it's kind of crazy. Did I show this film? I think I did. How long is this? I know you're loving me sitting here just kind of figuring out. No, it's not good. It's a bad file. All right. So we're going to watch this, and we're going to call it a day. Let's learn about some joint-legged arthropods. Arthropods. Enjoy.
The group of animals which has the largest number of species is the phylum Arthropoda. Arthropods include over 3/4 of all the million or more known species of animals. Examples of the 5 major classes of arthropods: the centipedes, the millipedes, the arachnids, which include mostly spiders, and the largest class of all, the insects. Arthropods are the most successful of all animal phyla. That is, they occupy the greatest variety of habitats with the greatest number of species. What are the reasons for this success story? To help answer this question, let us begin with the crustaceans and use this crayfish as our first example. The most striking thing about it is that the body is enclosed in a hard, chitinous covering, or exoskeleton. It is jointed to allow movement. There are advantages to this jointed armor. It provides protection while allowing for motion, but it also has some drawbacks. The exoskeleton is dead excreted material that does not grow like the rest of the body. As the animal outgrows its hard covering, it sheds it from time to time in a process called molting. During molting, the animal is helpless and vulnerable to attack. First, the skin separates from the exoskeleton, and finally the soft animal withdraws from its shell. Then it secretes a new and slightly larger covering, which gradually hardens. If damage is done to an appendage of a lobster's body, as in this conflict, the animal by itself is likely to sever that appendage. Between molts, the creature will probably regenerate the lost appendage so that eventually a wholly new claw will appear. Another feature of the body is segmentation. Each body segment typically bears a pair of jointed chitinous appendages. These appendages are highly specialized. The first pair is the eyes. Two pairs of antennas function as sensory organs. Then there are the mouth parts adapted for eating. Next come the large crushing claws. Then the walking legs. The action of the legs moves the gills back and forth, creating a current of water. Here we have removed a part of the... See the gills. As blood through the gills, oxygen is absorbed, carbon dioxide eliminated. In this crayfish, we have removed part of the dorsal exoskeleton over the heart so we can see it pumping the blood. Crayfish reproduce from eggs. After the eggs are laid, they are carried about on the female's abdominal appendages. the eggs hatch into tiny crayfish. Eventually, these leave the mother and continue a separate existence, if they are able to escape enemies. Certain lobsters are almost identical to crayfish in body structure. But like many other crustaceans that live in the sea, their eggs hatch into tiny larvae with 3 pairs of legs that feed and grow and eventually change through a series of molts into tiny lobsters. Crabs have a foreshortened but laterally expanded body structure. Most crabs live in salt water, but there are a few freshwater and land species. This is a fairy shrimp, a primitive type of crustacean. Its appendages are less specialized than those of the lobster or crayfish. The fairy shrimp reminds the scientist of an extinct primitive crustacean, the trilobite, because its appendages are unspecialized. This fossil trilobite has been extinct for 500 million years. Another kind of crustacean includes the water fleas, such as Daphnia and copepods. There are aquatic and land forms. All have bodies that are finned to bottom. Countries representing of crustaceans, the amphipods, are side to side. What appear to be jaw glands. These assist centipedes in their carnivorous feeding habits. The bite of this large centipede is dangerous. Here is a creature that suggests an interesting problem. It looks something like a centipede, but isn't one. It is called a peripatus. Most zoologists do not consider it to be an arthropod at all, in that it does not have a chitinous exoskeleton or jointed chitinous appendages, as the arthropods do. It resembles the arthropods in several details, such as tiny chitinous claws at the ends of its feet. Like Nereis, it might belong to the next lower phylum, the segmented worm. Where Peripatus fits on the tree of animal life helps us understand different as the earthworm and the lobster are related to of the body. Actually, the abdominal segments are fused in pairs, so the general rule of 1 pair of appendages per segment still applies. The arachnids as a class include the spiders, scorpions, mites, ticks, harvestmen, the king crab of the sea, and others. The spiders are the largest and most familiar group of arachnids. They are easily distinguished from insects by the fact that the spider body has only 2 main regions, while insects have 3. The spider has 4 pairs of legs. Insects have 3 pairs. Spiders lack feelers or antennas. They depend for their sense of touch upon sensitive bristles scattered over the body and appendages. Unlike insects, spiders have pairs of tiny, simple eyes. The usual number is 4 pairs. The spider's web is almost unique among animal adaptations for capturing prey. Strands of the web are secreted by special glands at the rear of the animal's body. Once the prey is entangled, the spider may attack at its leisure. The animal injects a poison from its fangs into its prey. It pours digestive fluid from the mouth into the wound made by the bite and sucks up the liquefied tissues of the prey. Not all spiders use a web as a means of securing food. The trapdoor spider uses a different kind of device. It hides under the door and captures passing prey. Specialization is the key to arthropod success, for it allows different members of the phylum to adapt to almost any situation. The grasshopper is a member of the largest, most varied, and most successful class of arthropods, the insects. The name insect refers to the fact that the body is divided into regions, 3 in all. Though insects follow almost every possible way of life, each insect manifests the same basic arthropod plan, a body and appendages enclosed in a jointed chitinous armor. Usually, though not in all orders, there are 2 pairs of wings. Wings carry insects over physical barriers and out of the reach of most enemies. Particularly well developed are the sensory appendages of the head, the antennas and the eyes. There are 2 sets of eyes, simple and compound. The simple eyes distinguish light from darkness. The compound eyes are image-forming. Even though the eyes are not movable, the grasshopper has a large field of vision. Most insects hatch from eggs. From the eggs of the housefly come slender, worm-like larvae. In 5 or 6 days, the larva skin thickens, and the pupa, or resting stage, begins. In another 5 or 6 days, a full-grown fly bursts from the pupa case. The fly is as large as it will ever be. Arthropods generally have a short life cycle, therefore a rapid evolution. This is one reason why arthropods have reached the peak of invertebrate complexity and predominance. Although the arthropod body plan remains fairly evident in all the insects, there are variations which allow different orders to fill many different niches within an environment. Some insects are herbivorous, like these potato beetles. Some, like these aphids, suck plant juices. Some, like this mosquito, suck blood. And some are carnivorous, like this aquatic larva. Others are parasitic and lay their eggs in the body of a host. When the young wasp larvae hatch, they feed upon their hosts and emerge to pupate on the surface. Many insects have different specializations during different parts of their life cycles. The butterfly goes through a process of change called metamorphosis. The egg of the butterfly hatches into a soft-bodied worm-like larva that moves about, feeds steadily, and grows rapidly. The larva of the butterfly, or moth, has a familiar name of its own, the caterpillar. When the caterpillar has fed well, grown considerably, and stored away a large amount of food, it changes its body form. Finally, there emerges the mature stage we call the adult insect, the butterfly in this case. The cycle is now complete. Complete metamorphosis, or complete change, is not universal among insects, but all go through at least a partial metamorphosis. Some species of insects, such as ants, wasps, termites, and bees, are social and are organized into colonies. Each colony has a single queen whose sole function is to reproduce the species, a specialization which no other insect in the colony possesses. Communal life in a colony of bees functions efficiently because of a division of labor among individuals. This is also true in the agricultural societies of leaf-cutting ants. Their colonies may number up to 600,000 individuals, each of which performs certain definite functions necessary for survival of the colony. Some workers cut the leaves into transportable size for movement to the nest. They or other workers carry the leaves along well-established trails to the underground home of the colony. Inside the nest, other workers cultivate a fungus on the leaves which becomes the colony's basic food. Insect colonies, here represented by army ants, also have soldiers equipped to protect the others. The social organization of insects seems to resemble human organization, but it would be unscientific to draw any human implications because the behavior of social insects is instinctive, not learned. Their brain capacity is small. The brain is limited by the size of the body, and the insect body is likely to remain small because of limitations of the body plan. But within the limits of their body structure and brain capacity, the arthropods have evolved into the dominant group of invertebrates. Some arthropods are of benefit to man as a source of food or some valuable service. Others, especially the insects, do untold damage to clothing. They destroy many crops. And they act as carriers of disease. The success of the arthropods challenges our efforts to control them. The outcome of this competition
All right. That was, in the middle of it, that was super splicey, which tells me that somebody must have stopped the projector and then restarted it, but lost the loop, and so it was kind of shredding. So somebody then clipped it out, or the film exploded and they tried to reassemble it. But hey, thanks for joining us today. I know that this was... ending on a film about arthropods was not what you were necessarily wanting to start your weekend with, but there you go. As always, we enjoy your comments, even if you tend to talk about Star Trek for some reason. It's hilarious. Like I'm I do work and I kind of look back at the comments, see what's going on. I'm like, what is Star Trek? What? Okay. Whatever. Anyways, we try to keep it focused, but whatever. I love you guys. If you like what you saw, there's a super thanks button you can hit, which looks like a little dollar bill, and that's a way to, in YouTube, to contribute to our fund. You can also buy us coffee at ko-fi.com/avgeeks, because we love coffee and we need caffeine. You can also donate at patreon.com/avgeeks, but at the very least, just hit the thumbs up button or the like button. Tell other people about what you're seeing. I saw a lot of new names today and very much appreciate your eyeballs, letting us borrow your eyeballs for an hour or so. Everybody have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday. Take care.